So when you receive your Neato Fastback, it's going to come with the pod, the frame, all the carbon you need, plus an extra arm, hardware, which is already installed here. If you get the kit, you have a diagram that shows you how to put it together. But there's also a build video that I put together right here that you can go view if you want to see the frame put together in person. It comes with a battery pad. It comes with 2 TPU mounts, one for the mini and one for the micro. The micro cameras have a little bump on the inside to perfectly fit a micro camera. And then something else about that, you can't use the stock micro mounts because they sit too low and you see a lot of canopy. These have been designed to help your micro camera sit perfectly right inside the canopy. That way you don't see any of it and it's protected. This whole frame is actually designed around the micro sized camera, but it does fit the mini camera as you see here, as well as a full size. But as you go up in size, the lens does stick out more. But luckily, with it being a TPU mount, as you see, there's a lot of give right there. So if you hit anything, it's going to give, and it's not crushing the stack right there. What it's actually leaning up against when it sits back is your stack plate. So it's still afforded some pretty good protection. I haven't broken a camera in quite a while on one of these ever since we got the pod in order. And besides that, I think you get a sticker and that's it. For this build and the build parts I recommend in the build video I'm putting together, it's going to go off the parts that I'm using, that I have been using, that I took to Reno with me, that have been very reliable for me. And it's a very good build. So hope you can follow along. If you're using different parts, you'll still get a general idea, but I can't tell you exactly where to solder everything up. So if this is your first build or you need assistance building, get the parts I mentioned. I'll talk about them in a second. Links down below the video, and they're also on the sales page. That way you can follow along and have no issues. Also, you'll get my PIDs, my configuration. You'll get my whole dump file, so you can literally connect this up to Betaflight, download the latest Betaflight firmware, copy the dump file into your CLI, press paste, or paste it, type save, and your thing's ready to fly. I'll try to keep this updated also, the dump file. I'll update it every once in a while if I change my stuff up. That way you can keep up to date. If they have a new firmware come out, I'll download the new firmware, I'll get my thing tuned, and then I'll share it with the world. So you can keep your stuff up to date, stay flying, and spend less time configuring your rig. So that's your kit right there. Right here we have the components. We're looking at the Hobby Wing flight controller and 4-in-1 combo. This is a great combination. Something about this you'll see is it does have a tab coming off of it. That tab, if you're going to be sitting it in the back, doesn't sit down in the pocket that way. You actually have to flip it around, and we have extra room in the pocket for those types of configurations that need to be sat down in there. And so now it sits in there perfectly, no problem. And you don't even have to wire it up differently. You just wire the closest motor to where it's supposed to go, and all that's changed in the Betaflight software now, making it super simple to get done. And like I said, if you're copying my file, you don't even have to worry about it. Then the flight controller comes with a capacitor. That's what we're gonna hook that one up. I do recommend the UFL axes because they're lightweight. They're able to hover in the stack and be safe. But if not, one of these will be fine too if you have those laying around. The micro camera, this is actually the HGL RC ELF camera. I'm actually testing this out. This will be a first build I've used this with, but it's the exact same size and the exact same wiring setup as the Runcam micro. And then this is also something new I'm testing on this build. This is the new FreeSky, what is it, the RXSR, so the really extra small receiver. I'm not sure if that's what it stands for, but I'm putting this on there. It sets up exactly like the XM Plus, which is listed in the recommendation, and it'll wire up the same. It's just a tad bit smaller. I just wanted to try it out. And this one comes with telemetry too, I believe. And then the TBS Unify Pro 5G8 HV video transmitter. I like this one because it hooks up to full voltage off of the battery. So you can see that, there we go. Full voltage off the battery. It can power your camera, but I believe this camera can take full voltage also. Yeah, it can take full voltage. But still, this is a filtered power source. I'm going to go ahead and power it off of here. You can do it either way. They both work, but this is the way I do it. And then up top, this top row is the rest of the build material. This comes with your hobby wing. This is all the wiring harnesses. Your hobby wing also comes with hardware. I don't use this hardware. You can. It's a bolt system, so it bolts all the way through from the bottom through your stacks, and you want that. You want the stabilization for this stack because it is connected through a pin stack, so you don't want any movement happening between these two components. But what I use instead is a combination of brass standoffs, 6mm standoffs, brass ones, and these RMRC M3 bobbins, the 5x5. So this is a soft mount method for your flight controller, and it's metal on the bottom, then it's connected by that rubber sheath, and then a threaded metal part at the top. And so this actually goes on the bottom, and then this goes in between the components. So what is this doing? It's usually people use these between their flight controller and the carbon, but because I want to keep this solid, I don't use it between these two. I use it between the carbon and the whole board itself. So you can get those at the link below at Ready Made RC. They're really great. And then what else we have over here? So as you see, I have some heat shrink in here. This is going to be for the motor wires. And what we're doing going to be doing is creating a protected wire sheath for your motor wires to keep them from, I know it looks really good, and that was my main purpose when I first started using this stuff at the very beginning of my build career. But honestly, I don't care as much about looks anymore. This is really good for protecting your wires from being cut by bent props. So this is very important. You want to have a durable build out in the field. You want to be able to crash and not cut your wires up. And this is Tech Flex, T-E-C-H Flex. I get it off Amazon by like a 25-foot roll for like 10 bucks, and it lasts forever. So I went ahead and pre-cut that to the correct length. And what I'll do is I'll have a sheet of paper that you can download. I'll measure all this stuff out on a paper. That way you can cut the right length for yourself also. And then the heat shrink is what keeps it on. And then we got wiring harnesses. I do use soft mounts for the motors also. You can get these also from Ready Made RC. They're just 3D printed little soft mounts. How much it helps, you know, I'm also soft mounting the controller, the whole stack. Every little bit to me is important. I may not actually notice anything in air, but it's not hurting me, and they're super light, and it takes a second to add on, so I do them. You don't have to, but I do. And then these are two different types of double-sided tape. This one is just a flat piece of double-sided tape, very low profile. This is a silicone, or a what was it? It's called servo tape, and if you can see it, it's kind of thick, so it adds a little bit of vibration dampening. They both work quite well. It depends on whatever you want to do. If you're having issues with height issues on your stack, you want to go with something like this, because that does add a millimeter or so to your stack or whatever you're trying to get.